and then make the conscious decision to feel a little bit better. And I want to also, just as a little aside before I get into the actual relation tip for today, if you are in a place where you're feeling really not great, you're feeling somewhere on the lower end of the spectrum, hi Joe, then you really want to acknowledge that. And if you have people around you, those people are probably going to want you to feel better, and so they're going to say things like, think positive, and, you know, like, chin up, like, especially people who are intimately connected to you. You know, they want you to feel better, so they're going to be like, oh, it's no big deal, or like, you know, just get happy, go do something, you know, like, go do something for you. And very often what that does is make you feel even worse. So I would recommend to you that if you have that kind of energy around you, that you acknowledge it and appreciate it, because people are just trying to help, but also you do you. You know, like, you have to recognize and honor where you are in order to be able to change that. So don't try to go from down in the dumps to, like, you know, euphoria. You're not going to get there. It's like the example that I use is, if you're trying to get on a merry-go-round, like, you know, the little kids thing at the park, and it's spinning really fast, and then you try to jump on it, it's going to fling you off into the bushes. It's not going to, you know, you're not going to be able to get onto it and actually stay on it. So good, yay, Pamela. I'm glad to hear that you needed to hear this today. I had a feeling that it might be helpful for a lot of people. So, okay, so where was I? Okay, so we're talking about this emotional guidance scale, and even just this in and of itself is an awesome tool for using in your relationships, because if you are aware of where your emotional status is, and you're tuned into that, and you're working towards getting to better and better feeling places, then that's going to obviously benefit your relationships, right? So, but a lot of people, and one of the things that I said in this video from Hump Day Relation Tip number 15 was that very often people are comfortable with saying, I'm really angry with you, you suck, I hate you, that kind of stuff, but not as comfortable with saying, I'm afraid that you don't love me the way you used to, or I'm afraid that our relationship is, you know, heading in the wrong direction, or whatever thing it is that you're afraid of. And so Lena's question was about how that plays into it, because fear is actually lower on the emotional guidance scale than anger. And so she was saying, like, if I, you know, isn't that kind of going in the wrong direction? And for her, it might be. So here's my relation tip. That you take this list of emotions, and I'll put them into the little information section, and make your own guidance scale based on that. So, so you just want to go through each of the emotions, and you can even, I've done it before where I'll, like, put them, you know, like, type them up or write them down on little pieces of paper and actually, like, organize them into a chart that works for me. So if for you, anger, hatred, those kinds of emotions are like the worst possible thing that you could imagine feeling, then put them at the bottom of the scale. And then, you know, work your way up to the best possible. So maybe for you, passion is the best possible, you know, emotion that you can imagine feeling. Maybe that feels better to you than joy. So you can set it up in whatever way works for you, because the idea is that you're learning about your own emotional space and how that emotional space can serve you. So, so that's my relation tip. And as far as really making it your own, I can't stress this enough. You really want to be gradually moving up your emotional guidance scale and not trying to go from one to the other instantly. And in terms of feeling those kinds of negative emotions, I think it's important to remember that if you acknowledge what you're feeling, it can shift, you know. And one of the things that Lena and I were talking about this morning is that a lot of times people will say, well, I'm feeling, let's say, angry about this, or I'm feeling afraid that you don't love me, or that our relationship is going in the wrong direction, let's say. And acknowledging that, saying those words and having those thoughts, they think means that they're feeling that emotion. But very often what actually happens is once you acknowledge that, the emotion that you're actually feeling is relief. And that's a very different thing than fear and anger. So this is a practice, like everything else. I feel like a little bit of a broken record about that. But really practice tuning into your current emotional set point. Where are you right now, and where do you want to get to? And you can even carry around your emotional guidance scale with you, like put it in your wallet or put it in your purse or wherever that you'll have access to it. And you can, if you're feeling something, if you're worrying about something, you can look and you can be like, oh, well, there's worry. What's maybe 1 or 2 steps up from that I could get to? What are some thoughts that sound like disappointment instead of worry, or impatience instead of worry? So those things are higher vibration, so you will ultimately start to get the momentum up so that you are running along fast enough to be able to catch up to the merry-go-round of joy and passion and excitement and all of that sort of stuff. And then when you're up to speed with it, then you can jump on it and you won't get flung off into the bushes. You'll get to just ride that ride, right? So does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Do you think I answered the question that you had?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions that came up after that? It's kind of cool to have somebody here that I can be like, instead of just kind of like talking into the void. And if anybody is watching now and has questions, feel free to throw them in there. But
no, I like the whole, I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Can you guys hear her? I don't know.
I like that you suggested moving or making your own lists.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the Abraham-Hicks version doesn't quite match my emotional, like, moving up and down chart.
Yeah.
So I like that idea of making my own, so it can be more personalized, so I can own it more and know how to kind of accept how I actually am feeling and know where to move from.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that was challenging, is how do you move?
Yeah. Yeah. So I yes, they can hear you. Yeah, so being able to move is, there's a ton of different processes out there. I think that the easiest thing to do is, like I said, when you acknowledge, like, I'm feeling XYZ emotion, and then you make the conscious, intentional decision to feel better, that kind of naturally starts to move where you are, so it's like the difference between being like, gosh, I'm just really worried about this, and I've just been worrying about, whatever thing it is, money, or, this fight that we had last night. I think Jackson, my dog, is not happy about somebody here. So you might hear him in the background too today. It's just a party. Anyhow, so even just the act of recognizing, yep, there he is. Thanks, Lena. And acknowledging that, and then setting the intention to move in a more positive, more uplifted, better feeling direction, automatically starts that shift. So you're kind of, it's like, when you are first starting to move in your car, or when anything first starts, it requires a little bit more energy to get that moving. But then once you get that going, it becomes much easier, and like the car will start to, kind of get its own momentum and start heading in the direction that you're wanting it to go in. And then you just kind of have to make minor adjustments, course corrections as you go. But I think it's important to recognize the benefit and the power in just deciding, I'm not gonna just stay here. Like my train didn't just get off on Worrytown or whatever, My train isn't stopping at like Fearville. It's, you know, you're deciding to move forward. You're deciding to do it differently, and you're setting that intention, and it's just powerful. It is. So does that help answer that question about how to start that shift?
Yeah, it does for me.
And then once you have started going in that direction, then, you know, the law of attraction does this really magical thing where it's like, here's all of these other things that help you along the way. You know, here's this tool that shows up, or this person that shows up, or this conversation you have that's like exactly what you needed to hear, or this Facebook Live video that shows up that's like, ta-da, here's what you need to know about this, right? So anyhow, I hope that was helpful for you. I ended up going, I think, a lot longer than I had intended to, but this was really fun. So my relation tip for you is to create your own emotional guidance scale, and to then use that to be able to move yourself into better and better and better feeling places, and then you will ultimately find yourself feeling joyful and wonderful the majority of the time. And when you're not feeling that way, you know how to get yourself back to that space, which is super important, because none of us are going to get there and then stay there forever. We're not going to just be like, everything is magical all the time. Actually, I suppose it's possible that you could, but then that feeling would start to feel boring. We would get bored of being like, everything's great constantly, right? Like, we have to have that variety. Okay, I'm going to stop this live video now because I've been just going on, and I think that there's a lot more that I could say about this, but if you have questions about it, feel free to put them in the comments or send me a private message if you would rather, and I will see you again next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.